Hello, and welcome to R&R Reviews Unscripted. You're here today with the Rogers Brothers, and we're going to give a rundown on our thoughts and opinions and our reasoning behind our score rating on particular reviews. Today's topic is going to be Pokemon Detective Pikachu, starring Ryan Reynolds, Justice Smith, and a few other characters.
Alert! If you haven't seen Pokemon Detective Pikachu, please stop listening now. As you've seen on our Facebook page, R&R Reviews, we gave Pokemon Detective Pikachu an overall rating review of 5.6 out of 10 points.
And remember, as stated before, on our rating scale, we consider a 4 to be a passable, watchable film. So a 5.6 is considered above average. So it is considered a good movie, even though it's only halfway to the top of the scale.
And I think I'd like to state up front, if you grew up loving Pokemon, this is definitely a movie you need to take the time to go see.
Yes, I mean, they really do a great job of bringing to life the Pokemon, especially the characters that we're familiar with. I know there was a few that I didn't recognize, which then they're probably newer Pokemon than when I was a child. But, you know, this is something, if you're like me, and I know my brother here, I mean, we used to collect these cards like crazy.
It was probably my favorite thing about the movie, to be able to see all my Pokemon characters brought to life, to be given actual features like feathers, scales, to put that texture to them and see them in a 3D format rather than just a 2D drawing.
Exactly. It really gave life to what it was to live in a world with Pokemon. And I thought that was really cool because even with the great experiences of Game Boys and things like that, you didn't truly get the experience that you felt with this movie.
Right. It's always been a cartoon up to this point, and this is the first time we've got to see it in the live action format.
Yes, and I think it was a very decent flick. As far as downfalls of the movie, I think that the plot line was a bit exhausting. I found that it twisted and it tried to be mysterious, and it was too much at points.
And I think that word can't express it any better. Exhausting is 100% the word. The movie tries to twist back and forth constantly. It's trying its best to not be a cliche, and in the process of doing that, it does in fact become a cliche.
The bar for video game movies is not particularly high, if we're being honest. I would definitely say that Pokemon Detective Pikachu sets the bar for what I would consider video game adaptations to movies. But generally you find that the storylines are not the strongest, and I think that at points here we can find that. The one thing that I do think was great about it as far as the storyline goes was this relationship, this father-son relationship they created, this mystery. They held off on showing who the dad was the entire movie. Every scene you would see him in, it wouldn't show his face. And obviously we know why. Because Pikachu was in fact Ryan Reynolds, and Ryan Reynolds was in fact Justice Smith's character's father.
And it's something that's very, hinted at very slightly, but I do think it's something quite hard to figure out. You kind of notice throughout the movie, they won't show the dad's face in any kind of flashback. You don't see any pictures of him, but I still wasn't able to pick up on the fact until it was in fact the very revealing moment.
I realized in the storyline that he had not seen his dad for quite some time, that they had been really distant because he lived in a different city far away, but you're telling me that he didn't recognize his dad's voice?
Right, and that's a big arguing point for a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of interesting to me. I mean, it was a great variant twist, even though I was tired by the time I got there. It was probably, I wish they would have saved the twists throughout the film and focused more on that at the end, because it was a good resolve.
Right, and especially with, as soon as you see Bill Nye in the movie at the very beginning, you know the dude's gonna be the bad guy. It was out right there, we saw him, we were like, yep, he's gonna be the bad guy, and then guess what? Bill Nye was the bad guy.
Bill Nye was the bad guy. That's a cool line. So overall, we gave Pokemon Detective Pikachu a 5.6 out of 10 point rating. I would say that the highest category was the cinematography, special effects. Really enjoyed seeing the Pokemon live action in those worlds they live in, interacting with people on a daily basis. Probably one of the strongest points of the movie, and that's probably adheres more to the nostalgia point that is behind why us grown adults are going to see this. We have to remember at the end that it is a kids movie, and so if we go in with that expectation, I promise you won't be disappointed with it. It's a decent flick. Make sure you get out and see it. That's all the time that we have for today. So we want to thank you again for listening. Make sure you check out our Facebook page and our YouTube page, R&R Reviews. And remember that you're here with the Rogers Brothers. See you next time.